Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel today. Um, so I've been meaning to actually share some of this on my channel. It's not going to be about data science or artificial intelligence as is the case with most of the content on my posts. So today is about achieving anything you want in life. Just as my previous post, I was talking about how to use your emotions for your purpose, exploiting the peculiarities of the human emotions to achieve what you want. Today, I'll be focusing on the things that you could actually do yourself to achieve what you want and things that I've done myself that's actually worked for me. So, the first thing I would like to note is if you need motivation to achieve something, then it's really not worth it. If you actually, if achieving something in and by of itself is not enough motivation for you, then it's a good sign that you're not supposed to be doing that. We are trying to pass through the path of least resistance over here. If you need to motivate yourself, if you need to give yourself reasons why you must do something, then it's probably not for you. Now, it's quite important for you to find out what is driving you to do something. Yes, it's important to for you to tell yourself the reason why you need to do something. But if that is an absolute step for you to begin to move towards it, then it's a good sign that it's not even worth the effort to start with. There are lots of goals that one could actually strive for in life. If that goal you're trying to achieve does not it doesn't like is not a motivation in and of itself for you, then it's really not worth starting at all. For instance, um when I've actually knew about I've known about artificial intelligence for some years now, and I've always known it might sound unbelievable, but since secondary school, I've always wanted to go into robotics, artificial intelligence, things that are really, really high tech and sci fi like. It has always been something that comes natural to me. It's not something I need to motivate myself to want to do. It's something that I just do it and I just love it. You know that what you're doing is actually something that is in line with your personality. You know the kind of person you are. The kind of person I'm a very analytical person. I like to approach life in a very analytical and logical manner. So everything about data science and artificial intelligence just comes natural to me. That things I do naturally, that things I do instantly, like a fish in the water. So something needs to really motivate you in and of itself before it's going to be worth the effort. So that's the first question you need to ask yourself. Does this thing actually motivate you in and of itself? Or do you need an extra reason? Do you need to tell yourself an extra reason why you must do it? Do you need to convince yourself that you need to do this? If you need to convince yourself to do something, then you really shouldn't do it. That's the first thing you need to clear out of the way. Now, secondly, you need to break down the goal into tiny achievable steps, like very, very tiny steps. Now, let's say, for instance, your goal is to read 50 books in a year. Now, how do we break this down into tiny achievable steps? Quite obvious. You can be reading 2 pages every day. It looks small, but you'll be surprised how far you would have gone in, say, 3 months. Now, what most people don't instantly understand is that doing little things repeatedly over time is better than doing a large chunk of thing in a very short spaced time. Now, the reason it's important for us to break goals down into very tiny achievable steps is one, you are not going to get tired easily. Yes, you're going to have enough energy to keep going if those things have been broken down into tiny achievable steps. You have enough energy to keep going compared to when you're trying to do quite a lot in a short period of time. Like you're trying to read 2 chapters every day and 2 chapters making up about 50 pages. You're trying to do so much in so little time. Yes, you might feel like, yes, you have the will, you have the strong will to do it, but your body and your will are two different things. You might have the will of a lion, but your body still remains the same. Your body will eventually tell you when you need to stop and take a break. So it's very important for you to break goals into very tiny achievable steps. Steps that you don't even need to put so much effort into doing. And when you achieve the tiny steps, you need to mark it somewhere that, yes, this is what I've done for today. And then take a break and continue with whatever else you need to do for the day. This is very, very important. Otherwise, you are going to break down. Otherwise, you are going to lose your energy. You will eventually get frustrated because you get tired. Your body can no longer take it, even though your will is strong. So it's quite important to break things down into tiny, achievable steps. Now, the next thing I would like to talk about is setting a daily routine that wraps around these tiny, achievable steps. This is very, very important. Now, it's easy. Our mind loves routine. Even if you are not somebody that likes timetable or planning your day, even if you're someone that likes going with the flow, your mind, your brain likes a routine. As a matter of fact, there are routines that you do that you are not even aware of because it's now a routine. It's now part and parcel of you. For instance, every time I wake up in the morning, I always drink water. I don't even think about it again. Once I wake up, I just go straight to the refrigerator and take a bottle of water to drink. I don't even think about it because it's a routine and I don't even realize it's a routine already because it's part of me. It's something I do every day. My mind is already expecting it. So when you create a routine, you are making your mind get accustomed to it. One, two, your mind will begin to expect it. If you don't do those things, you will feel that something is missing in your day. You will not be able to continue your day until you've done it. And if you should miss it, you feel so bad. How could I have missed it? Like it hurts you. Like no, 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 no. How did I miss this? Yes, because your mind is expecting it. Your mind loves a routine. It's very important for you to set a daily routine that wraps around these tiny achievable steps. Remember, tiny achievable steps, things that you don't even need to think about twice before you do it. Now, I need to be very specific about this routine. Now, when I say routine, I mean actually setting a reminder on your phone, a recurring reminder, something that happens every so often on your phone. Now, you need to begin to organize your life. You need to break down your days into different hours and break down your weeks into different days. Break down the months into different weeks and break down the year into different months. You should set an allocated time for your different activities. For instance, from 7:30 to 11, I already have a series of activities that I do every day. Yes, every day I have a series of activities that I do, which I'm going to talk about later on in this video. From 7:30 to 8, you could set a routine. one of the activity, one of this tiny chunk of activity that you need to do in order to achieve that goal. I like to take one goal at a time. Personally speaking, I'm not a multitasking person. I like to achieve one thing at a time. Yes, as much as possible. Although I can put two things there if it's something that I feel I can work with. But I actually prefer achieving a goal at a time. It helps me to remain focused. It helps me to really organize myself and not feel like I'm all over the place. Personally, I like to go with one goal at a time and breaking it down into tiny achievable steps. So if your goal is to read 50 books in a year, you can be reading a page every day. Yes, a page every day, no matter how tiny it is. You can be reading a page every day for a whole week. Now, after you're already used to it, reading a page a day, probably from 7:30 to 8:30, from 7:30 to 8:30 is for reading that page alone. You've already set the recurring reminder on your phone. Once it's 7:30, you know that you are going to read a page every day. By the time you do this for 2, 3, 4 weeks, your mind will begin to expect it. You won't be able to move on with your day until you've read a page at 7:30. Yes, you have to be very specific about the time and the activity you are going to do at that time. This way, you are programming your brain to expect it, and you won't be able to move on with your day unless you complete that task, which is very, very important to you. And it's all wrapped around achieving your goal. Now, the next step is this. It's actually easy when you use tools in setting this routine. Like, I use this app called Fabulous. Fabulous is an app for actually creating routine and sticking with it. And they give you a check. There's a check box for you to tick once you're done with the routine. And there's a sound that is being made every time you click on the check that you've done it. And when you are done for the entire day, there's another sound that is being made that you're done, like a triumphant sound. Now, those things might seem insignificant to you, but it's what we call reinforcement learning. Those little clicks you are getting from achieving can be very, very satisfying. Yes, you heard that right. Just sounds. That's not as if someone is giving you money for doing those things, but the sound you're hearing every time you click all those things is very satisfying for your brain. Yes. So you need to have a checkbox. You need to have a checkbox that gives you some kind of feedback. So once you're done with it, you click on that checkbox on the app Fabulous. That's the name of the app. It's called the Fabulous app. I think it's on Play Store and on app. I'm not promoting any service here. They didn't pay me to make this video. I'll mention other apps too that I also use, which I found to be very useful to me. So once you've done this activity, you click on those checkbox and then it makes a sound, and then your brain sees it as a positive reinforcement, which you look forward to that same sound that checkbox is making. Hey, sounds very ridiculous, right? But it works. I assure you, that works. Now, the next step you need to do after setting those routine, you need to disarm your distraction. Notice I use the word disarm because distraction can be a very powerful beast. Yes. Now, one of the most common source of distraction is social media. Yes, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, wherever social media is a source of even WhatsApp now, because now there are channels on WhatsApp. There are a lot of people posting a lot of status on their WhatsApp. So WhatsApp too can be a source of distraction depending on how many people you have as the contacts or how many channels you are a member of on WhatsApp or maybe Telegram, if you may, depending on what is a distraction to your TikTok. Yes, you need to disarm it because distraction is a very powerful beast. You need to disarm it. Now, all of these social media platforms are a very strong source of distraction, and they are being powered by algorithms that are made to keep you hooked on their platform. These algorithms monitor all the posts you are liking, all the posts you are dropping comments on, and they are taking notes of it. They are placing you in clusters of similar people who are liking similar posts that you are liking, similar people who are commenting on similar posts that you are commenting. They are placing you in the same clusters as them. There's a specific number of cluster handled by the algorithm. Now, once you've been placed in this cluster by this social media platform, whatever other people in your cluster are liking will get recommended to you because you are most likely going to like the same set of content. This will keep you hooked on the platform and make it almost impossible for you to overcome the addiction to those platforms. So how do you overcome these beasts of a distraction, especially social media? Now, there is a saying, it's not a saying actually, but if you are trying to replace an habit or an addiction, if you are trying to get over an habit or an addiction, you have to replace it with something else. You can't simply stop doing something and think you are not going to come back to it later on if you don't replace it with something else. You have to replace it with something else. It does not even have to be as satisfying as your previous addiction. It doesn't even have to be as satisfying as that. It can be a bit less satisfying as this. You have to replace it with something else. So, what did I replace social media with that was at least half as satisfying as social media? I replaced it by studying. Yes, by studying. Instead of the over 8 hours I spend on Instagram, strolling through Instagram, what do I do instead of that? I simply read subjects that are really fascinating to me. Yes, artificial intelligence subjects, machine learning subjects, deep learning subjects, psychology subjects, or even watch a documentary. These are things that I found to be very, very interesting to me as a person and is a good replacement of a social media. I get the same, almost even not, in fact, as a matter of fact, I actually get more satisfaction from these activities than social media. Because once I've read those artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning topics online, I find it more satisfying knowing that I've gained knowledge from it that only few people actually know about. It's very, very satisfying. I guarantee you that. For you, it might be something else. You might find something else interesting other than social media. Maybe anime or probably reading through comics. Reading comics books might be interesting to you. Or probably walking in the garden. Yes, or just staying under the tree or even talking to people physically might be more interesting to you than social media. You need to find something to replace social media. You can't take social media away and then leave a void in it. Something else needs to fill that void. And if you don't fill that void, you are going to go back to social media. You are going to go back to it and then you start all over again. You need to figure out what is more interesting to you than social media. You need to have a life outside social media. Once you can disarm it, it's a very dangerous beast. Once you can disarm this distraction, especially social media, you're already halfway there. Yes, because when we feel that there's no time to do a lot of things, there's no time, I don't have time to do this, there are a lot of things I need to do, but there's no time. You actually have time, but there's something stealing your time. Social media is stealing your time. If you are checking your phone now, most phones now can actually monitor how long you're spending on. Like on Android phone, there's something called this wellness, digital wellness on Android. On iPhone too, there's a way you can actually see your screen time on it, see how much time you're spending on social media, productivity, communication, and different categories. You can see there, and you will be surprised at the amount of time you spend. I used to spend over 13 hours on social media before. Now I hardly spend an hour every day on social media, and I only do that when I'm done with my everything I need to do for the day that I go on social media. So you need to disarm social media. I cannot overemphasize this step. Now, the next step you need to take is to prioritize your mental health. Yes, because if you're not in a good mental health, you won't even be able to do what you want. In fact, as a matter of fact, you won't even like what you normally like doing. Yes, let's say before you enjoy reading comic books. When you're not in a good mental state, you won't even enjoy reading. You will not even want to read comic books again because you're not in a good mental state. So you need to prioritize your mental health. Yes. So what are the things you need to do? What are the first aids? Without having to go to a shrink or a psychiatrist or a psychologist, the things that you can do for yourself, those are the mental health first aid. You need to practice mindfulness meditation. Yes. To know more about mindfulness meditation, you can download this app called Calm. Yes, to calm. 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 This Calm actually helps you with guided meditation. Yes, helps you with guided meditation, and you don't really need to struggle so much trying to understand how to do it. It works for me, although there are some people who claim that mindfulness meditation doesn't work for them. But personally, it works for me and it's really, really helpful. Mindfulness meditation using the app called Calm. Another way to prioritize your mental health is going outside the sun for at least 20 minutes, especially if you're the kind of person that works indoors, like you don't really go outside that much. You need sun exposure for your mental health. Yes. If you're always indoors, you don't get enough sunshine, it can affect you mentally. You could get depressed. So you could go under the sun for 20 to 30 minutes. Yes. By the time you come back in, you feel a little bit different. Yes. You need sunshine at least 20 minutes every other day or every day if possible. Another way to prioritize your mental health is through gratitude listing, mood tracking, sleep tracking, and daily reflection. Gratitude listing, mood tracking, sleep tracking, and daily, weekly reflection. All of these features are also in Calm. Yes, you can do them in Calm. You can track your mood every day in Calm. You can track the amount of sleep, because if you don't sleep well, it's going to affect you mentally. You'll not be able to do your duties well, your day-to-day activities. You need to track your sleep. You need to track your mood. You also need to reflect every day. Yes, it's also on Calm. Yes, the reflection stop. They ask you a question, a thought-provoking question, and then you reflect on it and then you write it down. You can do that on Calm. You can also do weekly reflection too. I use this AI app called Replica for daily and weekly reflection. It asks me a series of questions that I answer every day for my daily reflection. And at the end of the week, on Sunday, I do weekly reflection. I also do that on Fabulous. There's also weekly reflection on Fabulous too. So every day it asks me about different things like my exercise, if I exercised well, if I slept well, if I practiced mindfulness, if I was able to practice mindfulness, if I felt connected with myself, if I was able to achieve my goals, if my bad habits do not control me, and if I'm ready to take on the next challenge. So those are the things you can be doing every week. Can be done on the Fabulous app. You can also do it on Calm app. I have those apps on my phone that help me, and I also have the Replica app too for my daily and weekly reflection. Is like a therapy session, but it's not really therapy. It cannot really be called therapy per se because it's artificial intelligence, but it's quite helpful. Helps me to reflect and all that. And also, another way you can actually take care of your mental health is through journaling. Yes, there is a journal app on iOS, it's really good. I get to write about everything that has happened at the end of the day, also write down some important things that I don't want to forget. I also track my mood too on the through the journal app on iOS 18. Yes, you need to upgrade your iPhone to iOS 18, which is from I think iPhone 10 and above. If you're using an Android phone, I believe there will be a journaling app for that also that you can download on the Play Store. Now, when you are journaling, it can look like something very unimportant. But yes, journaling is a very powerful way of taking care of your mental health. So you should also journal, write down whatever has happened throughout your day and write down your thought process. Just put it down in writing. This will really, really help you to stay grounded and get ready for the stress of life. Now, another way you can take care of your mental health is through exercising. Yes, early lasts No, late last year, I was cycling. I used to cycle almost every day for at least 30 minutes. I used to cover a distance of about 10 kilometers every day. I was a bit chubbier than this. I was weighing almost 70 kg, which is quite much for my height. I'm not a very tall person. I'm just 5 foot 5 feet 5 inches tall. Yes. So I needed to reduce my weight. So I was exercising every day. So not only was this good for my physical health, it's also good for my mental health. I needed to do that every day. Now, apart from that, now the last step, which is not the least, which is actually very important, is you need to set a day from the week to rest. Rest is very, very important to you. Rest is as important as work. My rest day is Sunday. On Sunday, no matter what I want to do, no matter how far away from the goal or how close to the goal I am, I don't do anything goal oriented on my rest day, which is Sunday. Anything about achieving my goal, I don't do it on Sunday. Sunday is for rest. And when I mean rest, rest does not mean that you have to sleep throughout that day. Rest does not mean that you have to watch a movie throughout that day. Rest simply means doing something that is outside your routine, something that brings you pleasure, something outside your daily routine, and that also brings you pleasure, obviously, because it's for you. It's your time to rejuvenate. It's your time to relax, to heal. It's your time to refuel yourself. Yes. Now, the reason why you need to go outside your routine is because when you have been doing something over and over and over and over again, you start getting mentally fatigued. You start getting bored. It starts becoming meaningless and pointless a little bit. Yes, you need to do something outside your routine at least once in a week. This would make your life even more meaningful. Yes, you need to break out of your routine. You need to set a day in a week. Otherwise, you get tired, you get bored. You won't be able to continue again. You feel everything is just pointless. Why do I have to keep doing this over and over? It feels like you're on an unending circle. Like you feel kind of like you start asking yourself, when is this going to end? To avoid asking that question, when is all this going to end? You need to move out of your routine at least once in a week. Pick a day for you to break out of your routine. I hope you really enjoyed my video today. If you thought it was helpful, I'll really appreciate it if you can subscribe, like, and share with your friends and family or anyone you feel will benefit from this. I'll see you again next time. Do have a lovely day.